Started. So welcome to the NEMSIS v3 implementation call. Today is August 14th, 2024. If you have not already done so, please update your name with your affiliation in the participant list. These meetings are recorded and shared on the NEMSIS website and the YouTube channel. Please feel free to share these with your team and review as needed. Also, we encourage your participation. If you want to raise your hand, if you have a question or a comment, we will unmute people during the question and answer series. But please also use the chat feature if you want to say that you have a question, enter your question. We have people who are watching the chat, and we also gather the chat questions after the call and review them with the team for if there are things that we need to answer afterwards as well. And so let's take a look at the agenda today. And seems that first on our agenda is our good friend John Britt with our stakeholder introductions. John, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's well. I'll share my screen really quick. So I think I have the best thing to present on in these meetings when I begin, which is the stakeholder introductions. And I actually have someone to introduce this morning, which makes me even happier. So without further ado, let's go. So what's the purpose? To get to know others, to build connections and get some ideas for some new hobbies, maybe. I get to spotlight somebody for 30 to 45 seconds and make them feel special. Not that everyone isn't special, because you all are, but when you're new, we want to make you feel really special so you'll stay. And then to have some fun. So we ask the same questions every week. And they are, what do you like to do to relax or unwind? This person likes to read a book, connect with friends and family, and to travel. We always like to know some interesting facts, like what were some of your first jobs? And her first jobs were selling Hallmark cards in a mall and working at the Animal Welfare League, which if that doesn't prepare you to be an EMS data manager, I don't know what would. Some other things that people may not know, one of her favorite jobs was working on the West Nile virus surveillance program for the Chicago Department of Public Health. She said that it was fun to work both in the field and in the lab, identifying mosquitoes to genus and species and testing them for West Nile virus. I don't know if I've ever heard those words in a sentence before, identifying mosquitoes to genus and species with the word fun, but I'm glad she did. How long have you been in EMS healthcare data? Well, when she answered this, it just said a week, but I think that was 2 weeks ago. But just to be safe, I put just a few weeks. And what do you like best about your job? I love this answer. It is an honest answer. And I trust people who are honest. When they don't know the answer, they say so. She has so much to learn that I can't answer this question right now, which I hope will mean eventually that she loves everything. Do we have any guesses? Welcome, Ms. Kelly Bragler, EMS Data Manager with the Illinois Department of Public Health. We are very happy you're here. If you've not been introduced, I will put a link in chat so that you too can have this great honor for the next at our next meeting for 30 to 45 seconds. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate that. And guess what? You actually have the next subject as well. So we're going to go ahead and let you continue on here and give us a dashboard review, if you'd be so kind.
Absolutely. So what I'm talking about is actually not, well, it is a dashboard. We'll go with that. So I'm going to talk about where some information is that EMS data managers may can help them, and also for another reason. But first, I want to tell you where it is. So when you start at the NEMSIS homepage, nemsis.org, I want you to go to using EMS data, and then the V3.5.0 revision. And then this list of 3.5 resources, this is what we're looking at today. So what are these? This is a list that's provided for interested EMS managers who need a little bit more information or more information about the standard. But what's interesting about this is that we also put information here that has been provided to the NEMSIS TAC from EMS data managers. So you'll see down here what Miss Ann Vosbrink from Arizona has given us a couple of things. Now, these are getting a little bit old. The former state data manager for Georgia gave us some stuff, Chad and Chip. And I bring this up now because I'm sure everyone's aware that 3.5.1 is on the roadmap and is being talked about and will be coming out in the next few months. As you develop tools that work really well for your agency or for your state, for your agencies and your state, feel free to share them with us so that other people don't have to recreate the wheel. So I'll sort of give you some examples of some of the ones that were sent. You can see them here. But this one was produced by us, a way that the pronouncement or a DOA with resuscitation could work, or a public assist could work. And then this was a data, this is a boot camp that Chip Cooper provided with us, or provided for everyone to use for the 3.5.0 data. This is something that Chad here, and it's similar. I thought this was very helpful. This is done by one of the, I don't remember who did this one actually. I think this might have been Chad's as well, or Chip's. And I apologize for not having the names of the files. They didn't put the name of their file, who wrote them in the file, so I can't remember. But this is an example of an Excel file that was created and shared. That's very helpful. It compares the changes between the 3.4 and the 3.5. And as you're creating them, we'll be doing the 3.5 to 3.5.1. But you could also, you may be doing something that's a little bit more in depth than we do. I thought this one was nice. And this one was done by Wisconsin. And she went through all of the elements. Again, these are just examples, and I wanted to show you where they were so that possibly there was something that could be useful to you, especially the newer EMS data managers. And for the others like Anne and only one who just came to my mind, and Chip, as you guys create new things, don't forget to share them with us, and we'll put them on this link or this site and help others so that not everybody's recreating every wheel in their state as we move forward. And so where is it again? Go to NEMSIS. Using EMS data, the 3.5.0 revision, which this may be named 3.5.1 revision at some point, or something else. But right now it's where it is. In the list of 3.5 resources. And there you go. And that's it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, John. Are there any questions from the audience about the information that John went over here? If so, if not, feel free to get them into the chat and we will answer them later. Thank you so much, John, for the update there. We really appreciate it. Next, we'd like to move to Jen Correa, who's going to give us a maintenance update. Jen.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, John. Those are great resources, and the vendors can use those too, especially the ones provided by the states where they've gone through and reviewed it as their state's going to use it. So vendors, don't forget to check those resources as well. The maintenance update this month is August 20th through the 21st. This is a reminder that it starts at 9 a.m. on Tuesday the 20th and officially ends at 9 a.m. on Thursday the 22nd. Usually we do have some downtime. If you experience any issues during this time, please try again later. It's usually not for the full 2 days that things are down or out. It's just for a few minutes here and there as the updates are done. You can always find this information on the NEMSIS.org website under the maintenance schedule, technical resources. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Jen. Don't go anywhere though, because we're going to have you back in just a minute. Okay. So next on the agenda, Josh Legler, you're going to give us an interoperability update, I believe.
Great, thanks, Chris. Just get a screen share up here. Summer has not been slow when it comes to interoperability, and I have a few updates to share with all of you just to keep you informed of what all has been done in the past month or so. So the first one I want to mention is with the Trusted Exchange Framework and Common Agreement, or TEFCA. TEFCA put out a new version of their resources and standard operating procedures, and this included an updated standard operating procedures for the operations exchange purpose in TEFCA. And you might recall why this is important. There are different exchange purposes when you ask for data over the TEFCA network. You state the purpose for which you are requesting that data. And if you are an EMS provider and your purpose is to treat a patient, that's the treatment exchange purpose. And people who have other organizations who have data on that patient, they must respond to your query. However, after the call, when you're trying to get hospital outcomes for a patient that you transported to the hospital, you're doing that for the operations exchange purpose. You're no longer treating the patient, but you're doing it for your own quality improvement processes to understand what happened to the patient. So the operations exchange purpose does not require that other participants on the network provide a response to your query. However, what they're starting to do now is to build out sub-exchange purposes under the operations exchange purpose. And so certain areas of operations or types of operations queries will require a response over the TEFCA network. So that I wanted to show you where to find that standard operating procedure document so that you can take a look at it and see what's in there. I'll put a link to this in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. This is the Sequoia project, which is the recognized coordinating entity for TEFCA. And as I scroll down, I'll find a section on exchange purposes implementation SOPs, or standard operating procedures. And the one I'm pointing out is this one on healthcare operations. So I would recommend taking a look at that. It's just 12 pages long, so it's not huge. And as you go down into this document, you will see that, that they're starting to require, with a timeline, they will require responses to certain kinds of healthcare operations queries. For example, this one would be an healthcare operations query for care coordination and case management. And so that one is a sub-exchange purpose. So what we're interested in here is following and participating in these developments in TEFCA so that we can ensure that we get a sub-exchange purpose listed in this standard operating procedure that covers the activity that EMS needs to do, requesting hospital outcomes. So I would recommend taking a look at what they're doing there and kind of tracking with what they're doing. Let's see, let me get the link into the chat as well on that one. And there it is. Okay, next, the HL7 CCDA CCD to NEMSIS outcomes translation. That's a mouthful, but I've been working on some data transformations and a few months ago published a data transformation that will take the data from a hospital in an HL7 consolidated clinical document architecture format, specifically a discharge summary format. And it'll pull out the data that needs to go into the e-outcomes section of a NEMSIS document. So that allows an EMS agency's software vendor to get the discharge summary from the hospital that the hospital provides using a format that they already know. They don't have to know anything about NEMSIS. They just provide what they provide to everyone else. And then that software product can pull out the data from that discharge summary that needs to go into the e-outcomes section of the NEMSIS document, send that on to the state and to the national database. So that's how we get outcomes in the national database. So in addition to the discharge summary, there's now a translation for continuity of care documents. So I want to show you that. This is in a GitHub repository that is hosted by IHE. There's a folder called Transformations. And within the Transformations folder, you'll see a folder called HL7 CDA to NEMSIS, or a link here. And these are the transformations that'll convert data from CDA to NEMSIS e-outcome format. Each transformation is accompanied by a sample CDA document that would be the input and a sample NEMSIS document that would be the output of the transformation. So previously we had the discharge summary, and now a few weeks ago I added a translation for the continuity of care document. The reason this is cool is because continuity of care document is the most common CCDA document type used throughout healthcare. So if there's some healthcare entity that can only do, one type of document, it's going to be a continuity of care document most likely. So if you can get a CCD from a hospital, you can run it through this translation. Translations all documented here with various decisions that were made about, when we pull a procedure and we have the date and time of that procedure, is that when the procedure started or when the procedure was completed? All of those details are in the notes here. The transformation file that does the work, the sample continuity of care document that you can look at. So that's the CCD. And then the sample output in the NEMSIS format as a result of running that document through this transformation, where you can see the e-outcome data in that document. So visit that IHE GitHub site for those resources, and I'll throw a link in the chat here for this one too. Okay, next one I want to bring your attention to. IHE had a draft version of a document called Paramedicine Care Summary. They have put out a new draft, and they have also changed the name of that. Oh, thanks, Chris. I just realized I've been messaging these to you. Thanks for turning them around to everyone. They've changed it to Paramedicine Summary of Care, PSC. So a slight name change due to, I guess, a conflict with some other document name. And they have put out a new version of this Paramedicine Summary of Care for public comment. Comments are due by August 26th. So we just looked at, a hospital could put out a discharge summary or a continuity of care document to describe the care they gave to a patient. One of the options that EMS could use to deliver data to a hospital would be to use this IHE Paramedicine Summary of Care document. And this is still in draft status though, so it needs input from all of you who work in EMS. So let me click on the link to this one and show you what we're looking at. If you go to the IHE website to the public comment page and you scroll down to the patient care coordination work group, then you'll see the information here about the Paramedicine Summary of Care draft that's out for public comment. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So that's what that document looks like, just put out a few weeks ago. This has been reviewed by David Pike, who is a standards architect and has done a great review of it. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to change that so quick. I'm going to review it here in the next few days, and I would encourage any of you who can to review this and provide public comments so that we can help IHE to refine it and make it work well. Okay, so let me throw the link in for that one as well. So those are some great new resources just over the past few weeks that are I thought were important to know about. Lastly, I would like to get some input from all of you. So be ready to head to the chat box or to raise your hand to be unmuted. And we're working on a series of things that we'll do over the next year to continue to move forward on interoperability between EMS and the rest of healthcare. So the one thing we've been looking at, and we want your input here, especially from the vendors on this, but you know, everyone's welcome to comment, is do we need to do any kind of events? So there's a few ideas floating out there for potential events that vendors would participate in, or perhaps vendors plus EMS agency people or state EMS people. One would be through IHE. They do connectathons every year. In fact, they have their next connectathon coming up February 3rd through 7th of next year in Toronto, Canada. And the scope of a connectathon is it's where a vendor goes to show, you know, to get tested on the interoperability standards. So they can demonstrate and show that they passed testing, for example, on their ability to take a continuity of care document from a hospital, or to generate an IHE paramedicine summary of care, to implement cross-enterprise document exchange standard that they can share data with another healthcare provider vendor system. So that's what a connectathon does. We also have the opportunity, any vendor could go ahead and sign up for the next connectathon. But we also have the potential that we could do something called a projectathon, where we limit the scope to really be just focused on the EMS use case. So, you know, all the people who do radiology and stuff like that, they wouldn't come to this event, but the EMS software vendors would come, and their potential partners, you know, like health information networks, health information exchanges, hospital EMR vendors would also come. And so we would have it really focused just around the EMS use case, exchanging data and testing on those standards. So that's one possibility. And then the other is through the Interoperability Institute. They have something called a Virtual Innovation Center Challenge event. This one can include, you know, the standards stuff that I just talked about with an IHE Connectathon, but this one can also go more into implementation questions and implementations issues that vendors might want to try to design for. So it would be a series of meetings and then essentially kind of a competition or challenge. And through that series of things, the use case of EMS would be discussed and refined, and we'd not only look at the standards, but maybe look at things like, okay, you know, you got a patient's medical history from the network. Now, what do you show to the EMS provider from that medical history so you don't overwhelm them? What's relevant to them? So that's an option too that we could do over the next year. So looking at, you know, between now and a year from now. We know we plan to do some additional data transformation resources and to continue to advocate for that sub-exchange purpose in TEFCA that I talk about. So we've got definitely some stuff on our plates, but I want to get your input on these events. Would it be helpful for us to plan for one of these events? If so, you know, what would you want in the event? Or, you know, my other big question is, do vendors have the bandwidth to participate in something like this within a year from now? Or is it like you're going to be super busy with NEMSIS 351 and just don't have the bandwidth to do it? So I'll pause there and look for comments in the chat or raising your hand, and let's see what you have to say.
The participants can go ahead and unmute themselves at this point. So if you feel like you want to speak up, go ahead.
So this is especially geared to vendors. Do you feel like an event would be helpful to help you develop interoperability capabilities? So Jonathan from Beyond Lucid said that he doesn't want to do a connectathon.
Josh, I'll jump in. This is Chad from Kansas, if you can hear me all right.
Yeah, go ahead, Chad.
I'll just say, like, I don't know, you know, I mean, from a state perspective and not being as involved in all the back end pieces and the ability to even control those kind of things and that, like, I would absolutely, from a state's perspective, enjoy seeing some type of an event, at least for us at the state, that just shows what can be done. Okay. And honestly, conversations with vendors. I mean, I know we've had conversations with a number of vendors about what they can and can't do and this and that, but I think there's still just, you know, from my perspective, you know, there's times where I look at it and I think, why is this so difficult? This should be easy. Seems like there's a lot of people working on it. So I think even if there's just an event with even something just for state data managers to basically say, hey, look, this is where we're at. This is what things look like. These are the things that you as a data manager should be considering in the conversations you should be having with the vendors about what they can and can't do, or what things should be looked at. Because from an educational standpoint, I feel like we, as some of the data managers, at least speaking for myself, could have a lot more education in a lot of these things that you discussed. And it's easy to go in and read a document and do some of that, but understanding all of that is not always the case. So I think being able to have some type of an event or some type of educational program just for us to go a little bit more in depth into some of this, so we know what to be looking for and what things to be asking, would be awesome.
Excellent thoughts. Thank you.
Hi, Joshua. This is Sanjeeva from Texas. These events are useful for vendor software implementation state level. It's a state level, depends on the resource availability, right? To keep up up to date with the NEMSIS standards, and also ahead of planning that is budgets and funds availability attending these type of events.
Okay.
Data managers will update if they plan, the state resources can attend the events.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, it's Jonathan. I'll just elaborate on what I just put in the chat, because I'm not going to be able to type for a while here. Basically, a couple years ago, Colorado, I mean, it was kind of in the Denver area, not quite, it was a little outside, did a fantastic event along the lines of what Chad just mentioned. Basically, it was like a showcase. It was like a festival. There were, different presentations throughout the day, different discussions throughout the day. Organizations, companies, et cetera, got divided up, and I think, call it like 3 or 4 companies per room. And everybody got a slot of about 20 minutes to talk, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, et cetera, to talk about whatever they wanted to with regards to their tech or their approach, their company, their showcase stuff, whatever it was. And then they separated into these rooms that allowed for folks to have a deep dive conversation. But the magic of this thing was that it was entirely transparent. People sat in on other people's presentations. There was no funny business. There was no BS. It was, in fact, I mean, I remember I specifically spoke about data standards. I actually gave, instead of talking about our tech for 20 minutes, I talked about ONC standards and what a CCD was for 20 minutes. Some people probably glazed over. Other people said kind of what Chad just did, which is, look at that. There are standards for this stuff. So I totally think that if that's something that you guys wanted to support, I would absolutely participate in that. I tend to think those are far more productive than hackathons, which are, I think, expensive demonstrations and spinning one's wheels. But that's my personal bias. They're great if you're trying a job, not trying to do anything else. So, but like I said, Colorado did it. I'll be happy, I'm sure, to find the flyer or whatever it was if you wanted to ask the people who coordinated it.
I was just going to ask if you have some resources you can point me to that kind of explain the event, or contacts, then we could learn some more about it. Yeah,
I think it's called a RETAC in Colorado, which is kind of their version of a LEMSA, or a regional whatever. And they're whichever one it was the one that put that on. So I'll see if I can find it. Actually, it was a couple years ago, but I'm sure their folks are still involved. Some of the folks on this call may have were there, so they may remember that as well.
Great. Amber and Bill from Colorado just said that they've got some info. So thank you.
I figured he might be here. Bill was there.
Okay, great.
So yeah, definitely. It was wonderful. The best I've been to in more than 10 years of going to these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. All right, any others? Okay. Well, I'm kind of hearing, I know that we have needs for, vendors to actually develop capabilities around interoperability. And then we also have needs for potential customers to be educated on what's out there and what the vendors can and cannot do. So sounds like the conversation has shifted more in that direction. So we'll take that under consideration and see what might make sense to put together this next year. All right, that ends my updates. Tons going on, and I'll try to just keep informing you as more comes out.
Perfect. Thank you, Josh. Sounds like you've had a really busy summer. That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing this information, and thanks everyone who was sharing the resources with us. We really appreciate it. So I believe next on the agenda, we have Monet. Actually, you have the next two subjects here. So we're going to hear about a update from the monthly report and then about the NEMSIS annual meeting. So Monet, go ahead and take it away.
Yes, thank you. Thank you everyone for being on the call today. I am going to show you the NEMSIS monthly report. The monthly report is basically we have compiled the work that we have done with the TAC team and with our collaborators from stakeholders across the nation. So the current report is listed under View Reports. It's under Public Reports, and it is currently under the NEMSIS monthly reports. It's the first report here on the page, the July report. This was pushed out via the NEMSIS Google group, but you can also access it here on the website as well. So basically, there's a couple of different pages here, but we have compiled everything from the previous V3 implementation calls, the previous monthly training, public training, as well as the status of the 3.4, 3.5 data submissions. We also have the information about the revision timeline, some additional information about updates on the website. There's also the information about the Okta user accounts and the updates as it relates to the compliance testing. There's also the information related to the most recent NEMSIS reports or reports that cite NEMSIS data standard for how they compile their information. If you have any questions about this report, or if you would like to see something added to this report, please let us know and we will have a discussion about those additions and see if it's something we can add to this particular report. All right, I am also going to show you the information related to the annual report. And so if you are on the NEMSIS homepage, you will see here we have the hero slider with that information. I'll just go back to that very first bullet here. And so we'll just go ahead and click on this page, and then here's the registration page. And I apologize for my tone today. I just had a friend that passed away, and so I'm a little bit emotional. But I wanted to just show you the information about the annual meeting. And I want to remind you to register for the annual meeting. I checked the registrations recently, and there's quite a few of you who are missing. We can't have the meeting without you. I mean, we can, but we want you there. We want to hear your voice. Your voice is very important to us. So go ahead and get signed up for the annual meeting. Just go ahead and click on the registration site. One of the things I want to mention is that we have offered an early bird rate, and that early bird rate will expire this month on August the 31st. So please go ahead and get registered. I also want to mention that on Tuesday, we have several forums selected for you. And we need you to sign up for the appropriate forum based on your affiliation. So if you are a state data manager, we want you in a state data managers forum. If you're a software vendor, please only sign up for the software vendors forum. The purpose of this is to give everyone an opportunity to have the honest, candid conversations that they need to have in those forums. And then in the afternoon, we're all going to come together and we're going to have those group conversations that you also desire to have. So please go ahead and register. If you have registered and you may have made some confusion about what forum you should be in, we'll be making those corrections to make sure that you're in the right forum for the first part of the meeting. And I also would like to mention that we have a full schedule of activities for you. So we have the great discussions. We also have, we have invited national leaders in this EMS industry. We have a Goonie adventure plan for you. We're gonna have great food. I know many of you want the peppered bacon, so please get registered. I'm gonna go back to the main page for just a moment here and just show you that the agenda is here, your invitation letter is here, and some other details are here. So if you have questions about any of this, please don't hesitate to reach out. Let us know what you need, and we'll be sure to address those questions. Are there any questions at this time? Okay, let me just double check here. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate, I see a couple of chats here. So thank you so much for your support. I have nothing more to share, so I'll stop sharing and actually I'll turn it back over to you, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Monet. And no apologies necessary. So sorry for your loss. Our condolences. And thank you for all the hard work and time and effort you put into coordinating the annual meeting. We really appreciate it. And for everything that you do. So for my, I'm actually the next, or I have the next topic here where I would like to take a moment to review a few of the items that are posted on the NEMSIS website. And this is just for an update to let you know that there are a few resources that get updated every once in a while on our website. And so if you see here on the NEMSIS website, and would somebody just give me a quick audio that they can see the NEMSIS website currently?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. So from the NEMSIS homepage, if you look at under using EMS data, under research request articles and publications, the second link here, articles and publications, if you click here, you will notice that we have our annual public data reports, and you will see that we have the last 5 years of the NEMSIS annual public data report listed here. I'm going to come back here in just a moment to talk about the newly released 2023 report. But also here you can see under our articles and publications using NEMSIS data, we in a sort of a reverse chronological order here, we have all of the studies and papers that use NEMSIS data. And so you can scroll back through this, but this is updated every month. You can see these publications are also mentioned in the monthly report that Monet just talked about. But if you wanted to come into this page and see what the latest articles were, you can check them out on this page. So I did mention the annual public data report. We have released the 2023 version. So I'll click on this here and just show you a quick version here. The 2023 report is out. Very proud of this. This is one of my symbol crashes for the year. It's one of my big projects for the year. So very excited about this. Want to big shout out to the folks who helped me out with this. So Parneet and Ben who helped out, and everyone else who did help out with this. This is a huge group effort here. I get a chance to put my name on it, but it is very much so a team effort. So as in previous years, as I said, this is the 5th year of us putting out this report. We compile the information from over 54 million activations and show some demographics, patient age, some location data. We have the top 20 medications given, etc. Those types of charts. And now there's 5 years worth of these that you can go back and compare the different rates from the different or the different stats from the different years. And also this year we got a chance to highlight 2 of our big dashboards here. So the non-fatal drug overdose surveillance dashboard, and for the heat heat-related EMS activation surveillance dashboard. We're also very proud of both of those projects. And now, of course, since I opened this up here, I'm not 100% sure how to get back to my web page. Huh. Oh, that's right. Here we go. I hid it from myself. So here we go. All right, so that's articles and publications. The other place that I wanted to bring up here is under calls and trainings from the website. So under NEMSIS and then under calls and trainings, you'll notice here that we have a section for our V3 implementation calls and for the public training sessions. So if you click on the V3 implementation calls and then scroll down, this embedding here will always be the latest V3 implementation call. So either today or tomorrow, if you refresh this page later today or later tomorrow, you will see today's recording show up here. So if you ever want to see the latest V3 call, you can come to this page and it's embedded here. From this page, you can go to YouTube from this link if you want to click here. And it will actually take you to a playlist on YouTube that has all of the implementation calls going back 7 years. So you can go back all through here. All of these are in a playlist. Anything that you wanted to look through here, you can do a quick search. All of the agendas are part of the description of the call. So doing a search should bring you to any sort of topics that we've talked about previously. And again, under calls and trainings, under public training sessions, very similar setup for all of our public trainings. So you'll see the latest training here, which was the last one was the overview of the NHTSA's model minimum uniform crash criteria on August 6th. So you can watch the latest one here, or similarly, you can click on this to be taken to a YouTube playlist. It goes back several years. So you can, if you remember that there was a training that you wanted to look at and you couldn't remember where it is, here's a good place to start, or go ahead and ask one of our helpful NEMSIS TAC members, and we'll help you also find where the training or V3 call is that you're looking for. So with that, I would like to turn the time again over once again over to Jen Correa, who is going to give us the next 4 subjects. So we're going to be hearing about the NEMSIS partner Git repositories, the updated compliance policy, the updated usage guides, and a 351 update for the changelog preview. Jen, you got all that?
I believe I do.
Perfect.
All right, so we are going to go ahead and start with something that probably looks very familiar to everybody, our NEMSIS website. One of the things that we have done is started a new Git repository for our partners. So for those who are trying to really align with the NEMSIS data standard, or that we align with to be able to send data back and forth, or to use the similar data sets, we now have a data repository in our Git for them. An announcement went out. CARES is our very first contributor to this. So if you go to technical resources from the homepage, resource repository, you will see that we have a guide that talks about what's in the repositories, how to access them, if you should, access it here, or if there's another way. And then you'll see that we've got our NEMSIS partner repositories listed. This first here will take you to the web page that we have for CARES. You can also search for that up here. If you put in CARES, it'll bring you to this page as well. And this is just information about this partner that they provide to us to post for them. It also has different links that will take you to their home pages with their information on it. And then this will take you to the CARES Git repository. Just yesterday, they updated their data dictionary, which you will be able to see listed in the commit. And over here, you can see that it was updated yesterday. And that was provided by Frank over at CARES. So this is what it looks like. Vendors, I know this might have been something that you have been asking for, so I hope that this is helpful. For those of you who are just getting to know CARES, this is one way to access, and then this will also take you over to their page as well. Also below is all of the resource repositories that we have: the public Git, the state Git, which is where all the state's information is listed as well. Are there any questions about our partner repositories? Thanks, Lauren. I am glad. I hope you find it helpful. I hope everybody finds it helpful. Selecting the resource repository guide. Thanks, James. I will look into that right after the call. Link broken. And everybody who's ever worked with me knows that if I don't write something down, it doesn't happen. So I will do that right after we get off this call today. My next item, if there's no questions or anything like that, is to talk about the compliance policy. So there was an update to the compliance policy. It was pretty simple. There we go. All right, there you are. It was simply this one sentence here was added. A vendor must be compliant with the new minor version before collecting or receiving data in the new minor version. That was unclear for a few folks. We got some questions about it, so we wanted to make sure that while if you you're not required to immediately, like you are with major revisions, right? You're not required to immediately come in and get compliance testing. Before you do start accepting data for your clients or for your state, you are expected to go through that compliance testing in the new version, even with a minor release. So we wanted to make sure that that was clear within the compliance policy. So that is the line that was added to make that transparent. Are there any questions about that? All right. Another item that is on my list, and I probably should have done this in a slightly different order, because now I have to go back to the homepage, which here it is. All right. Not as quick as Zoom. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the guides and usage page. As we have moved over to version 3.5.1, Josh and I did a review of all of our guides and technical tools that we provide to make sure that they are good for the 3.5.1 and future revisions. So a lot of the revisions that you'll see within the guides had more to do with making them more version agnostic, right? Rather than saying in the transition to version 3.5 from 3.4, right? We would say change the verbiage to the in a version change, right? In NEMSIS standard version change, those kind of things. So you'll start to see that some of the guides have been updated. Those will go out, they're updated on the public Git, so they should be included in your weekly email that goes out to the Google group for updates to our Git repository. Were there any questions about the guides or usage? We just wanted to make sure everyone was aware that a lot of those were not, you know, a change in policy, but just an update in wording. All right. Now everybody's favorite thing that they want to talk about, version 3.5.1. All right. We're just going to go right here. And can everybody see this? Is it big enough, or do I need to make it larger to be seen? Okay, perfect. So the changelog is done for the candidate release. I do want to underline that this is the candidate release documentation that's going to be available shortly with the candidate release, but this is what the changelog is going to look like. Also completed is the data dictionary. One of the things that we are working on is to take the changelog information and a screenshot from the data dictionary and show you where those changes are and how they'll look. That will be in a PowerPoint presentation, PDF style, that will be made available to you as well. And it'll just list the changes between 3.5 and 3.5.1. Also with the candidate release, we are going to be updating a 3.5.0 to 3.5.1 value comparison and a 3.5.0 to 3.5.1 element summary comparison. So those will be available with the candidate release as well. Just keeping in mind that if there are any big errors or anything found during the candidate release, and for those who don't know what a candidate release is, that is when the vendors get access to everything for the first time, all of the changes in the XSD, and then they break it and turn it and spin it and do everything they can to find any errors or mistakes that we might have missed during our work, and they get back to us and say, hey, you've got a misspelling here, or hey, this I don't know, is missing one of the elements, should have been updated for the link, you missed that, you know, things like that. And so those will also be updated during the candidate release process and could be added to the changelog and could be added to those comparison summaries. So once we go live, which is scheduled right now for January 1st of 2025, all of these documents would be updated with those changes as well. But this is a really good place to start, especially if you're going to be doing any education around the 3.5.1 changes. Another item that will be coming out with the candidate, or either with the candidate release or by the live release, will be another data flow document showing a possible use for the new patient elopement disposition that's coming. That will start to be included in our disposition flow charts as well. So we're trying to make sure that any of the resources that you need, that you could use, would also be available. And then I wanted to show you the data dictionary. Let Zoom put its control panel right where I need to be. There we go. And here is the 3.5.1 data dictionary. You all may not be as excited as I am, but it will be nice to be able to get this out to people and have them start looking at it as soon as we can. And then if before this goes out and before it's available, please remember that all of these changes are listed in the JIRA NEMPUB ticket, which will list the 73 tickets that are currently there, but keep in mind that doesn't mean there's only been 73 changes. Some of those changes may affect multiple elements. Like when a link is updated, it could be on 2 to 10 different elements where that link is updated. Are there any questions or thoughts or concerns or anything like that? All right, I am going to turn it back to you, Chris.
Thank you very much, Jen. Great information. You sure you don't want 2 or 3 more subjects you want to talk about? I'm just kidding.
Oh, we will talk about the vendor breakout session, but I figured
Perfect.
We'll go through the rest of the agenda first.
Perfect. So, okay, well, don't go anywhere then. So, next we would like to, I believe I saw Eric in the attendance there. So, Eric Chaney from the Office of EMS, are there any updates for us?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I have no specific updates from you from the Office of EMS. Chris talked about the annual report going out, and Jen talked about 351 and the discussions there. So I have nothing today unless there are questions for me.
And participants can unmute right now if you have any sort of questions.
I do have one kind of afterthought. We have in the past probably 3-4 years now been attending vendor conferences, representatives of the TAC and myself. We rotate some of those. We have someone there if we're requested to have someone come in. We make sure that we have someone there. So if you're a vendor and you're running an annual meeting or something and you would like someone from our office or someone from the TAC to participate, please let me know as much in advance as possible. If you want us to address a particular topic for you, we're happy to do that, or participate in a presentation or panel, just let us know. That's all I have today, Chris.
Hey, Chris, I would like to tell Eric, hey, shout out to Jeremy specifically. I attended a road safety workshop in Oklahoma City. And I know he's attended a couple of those and did a great job of presenting on EMS and pushing that EMS needs to be involved in all of those road safety discussions where we've typically been left out. So he did a wonderful job on that. So I wanted to give a shout out to him from your team for that.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. We have folks at ATSIP, the Traffic Records Forum, this week doing presentations, multiple presentations on different things related to EMS data, NEMSIS, and then just EMS in general. So we're trying to push that agenda with our folks here at Transportation very hard.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the comment, and thank you, Eric. We have an upcoming event. We have a public training that's going to happen on Tuesday, September 10th. That is going to be a training that is going to be led by Josh Legler. And the title is the Medical Coding Systems Used by NEMSIS, ICD-10, RX Norm, and SNOMED. So you will see communication coming out for that training here in the next couple of weeks, where you will get a flyer and a calendar invite that you can put into your calendar, and so that you can keep that date and attend that training. Also, that training, like all of ours, will be recorded and be on the website that I showed you earlier in the presentation here. With that, we've come to the open forum section of the call. Are there any items for open forum? You should be able to unmute yourself at the moment.
Chris, I was just going to mention it's listed on the agenda, but we will only have one V3 call in September due to a conflict on the 11th. We have a department-wide meeting here at the University of Utah that conflicts. And so we will just have a meeting September 25th, only one time in September. So we'll see you guys again the end of August, and then not until the end of September.
Perfect. Thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah.
Anything else for open forum? Hearing none, I will reintroduce Jen Correa And Jen, you tell us, I believe we are in a blue week because it is the even month and the second week.
We are in the blue week, Chris. You are correct. So I put up on the screen just a reminder of which companies those are, which software vendors and which products. Apologize for that. Chris has created rooms for each of those with both the software and the product name. You will be joined. And I would also like to share and remind everyone about the rules of engagement and what these vendor breakout sessions are for. There we go. So these vendor breakout sessions, they are meant to facilitate communications. They are meant to be a positive interaction between states and agencies and vendors. All of the stakeholders, we were asked by states and agencies to allow them an opportunity to do this. And so we are trying to put this together and make it a place where solutions can be found, especially when there's common issues. Please remember that vendors should not attend other vendors' breakout sessions. You are welcome to ask them if you can attend, but please don't just join their room. And the members of the NEMSIS TAC will do their best to monitor and remove any vendor that should not be in another vendor's room. Especially for Ohio, Texas, and Alabama, where they are in a unique position of being the vendor as well as the state because they have their own system. Please still ask before you join their rooms and be respectful of people's times and opinions and needs. And know that the answer you may receive from your vendor is that, hey, we need to do some investigation. We will follow up with you and we will schedule a meeting. That may be what needs to be said by the vendor. We hope that this will be a chance to be engaged and again, be positive and respectful of each other's times. Chris, are the rooms ready to join?
Certainly, they are ready, and I am opening them now. And so everyone should be able to see the rooms. And
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Can Zoll, EMS Charts, and RescueNet have a combined room?
They can next time if you would like. We set them up separate because they were different software programs, so they may have different questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Also, this is Karen Jacobson with South Dakota. I have a quick question in general to NEMSIS, who's kind of designing this, and then to the vendors. Would there ever be a situation where a state would be allowed to sit in on, in essence, the agency software products? And then my question would be then to the vendors as well to say, would you want states to attend if you're having issues with one or more states? Jen, let me go to you first and say from a NEMSIS perspective.
So a state is welcome to go into any vendor that they would like. It does not have to be their RMP vendor. They can go into any vendor that they'd like to ask questions or anything like that.
Okay, thank you. I'm not going to today because I didn't come prepared. Thanks, I couldn't remember. Thank you.
No problem. All right, if everyone will go ahead and move to their rooms, that would be fantastic.